Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to TPO Live. Welcome to our round 1, 2, and 3, day 1 and day 2 recap and grade of the Philadelphia Eagles NFL draft. Today, we're going to recap and grade and give our thoughts, quick thoughts on what we saw here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Truly, if this was a roller coaster, you started out with Devontae Smith, and then everything else was kind of downhill there with Landon Dickerson. And then Milton Williams, I'm sorry. So let's lead us off with Rob. What are your quick grades on the Eagles rounds 1 through 3 here? Go ahead.
Your first round pick was a home run. And I think we were all very excited the way it went down. It was very un-Howie-like. And then tonight happened, and it became all Howie. It was a Howie-esque draft. It was smartest guy in the room. And that last pick screams analytics. It does not scream scouts. That screams analytics, and that's an issue. The second and third round, as we said last night, needed to get you some guys that filled needs but could also be plugged right in and play. Landon Dickerson has an opportunity, if he can stay healthy, to be good. Okay, so I don't hate that pick. But this third-round pick with guys like Jabril Cox still on the board, Melifonwu still on the board in the defensive backfield, it makes no sense why you have to be the smartest guy in the room. So, look, they got a lot of picks tomorrow. I'll give them a C+, but it's because it was an A+ on night 1. But tonight was not a very good night.
Right. Shane, quick thoughts and grade.
So, day 1, I think went about as well as you could expect, moving back and then back up, essentially turning a third round and a fifth round pick this year into a fourth rounder and a first rounder next year, and still getting the guy they wanted in Devontae Smith is a great value. But then you get to round 2. I look at Landon Dickerson. He's a first round talent guy, but he's got major injury concerns. On the one hand, you can say the Eagles are a rebuilding team, so they can take that swing. But on the other hand, nobody's been hurt more by injuries than the Eagles over the last several years. And so that one's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. And then they take Milton Williams. Williams would have been a fine pick for me in the third round if we addressed either linebacker or defensive back in the second round. But ignoring linebacker and defensive back entirely on day 2, that's a little frustrating for me. Williams is an elite athlete. He's 6'3", 284 pounds, and he ran a 4.6 40. He's explosive on tape, and you've got guys in Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave who are going to be your starters, and so he can develop. You can move him around. I think that's going to be helpful, but it feels like the same model of we're just going to disguise our deficiencies in the secondary and at linebacker by continuing to draft offensive and defensive linemen and say we're going to win in the trenches. And so that's frustrating to me because that's been the model for years and it hasn't worked.
All right. Anthony Hand says you can't win the Super Bowl if you don't win in the trenches. Simple as that. I'll never be pissed at offensive line or defensive line picks. It was a roller coaster. I absolutely love the Devontae Smith pick, trading up for a number 84, and then netting really a future first-round pick next year. Was a home run first round for Howie Roseman. I'm a big fan of Landon Dickerson, as we said during the watch party. I think Landon Dickerson's going to add a toughness. He's going to add, an element of leadership on and off the field that you haven't seen in a long time there. Which that has to be addressed. But this Milton Williams pick was completely out of left field. This was Howie, the analytics guru, trying to get way too smart, especially when Jabril Cox was on the board there, ripe and ready for the taking. And then I want to go back a little bit to Landon Dickerson, who I really like, but I cannot lie. He was a tier below on my draft rankings of guys that would be just pure impact players from day 1, plug and play, like Trevon Moehrig, who would be just an absolute terror there in a scheme that Jonathan Gannon's going to run more cover 2, more cover 3, more man coverage, more split safety. And I just love Morig's fit there for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you passed on him. You absolutely passed on him. We saw Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah fall, and that was kind of like the main kind of talking point during this watch party. You saw Asante Samuel Jr. not taken by the Eagles. Now you got a gaping hole there on the Eagles there at outside corner, and it just really makes you want to scratch your head at what is going on. And I'm saying this because I had the perspective that it never was about 2021. The Eagles are loading up for 2022 and beyond. Salary cap wise, future first round pick wise, you read the tea leaves. That's the motive. But this pick here in the 3rd round, Milton Williams is really truly a question mark, because I thought the strength of this draft was in day 2. We talked about, trading up and getting these real impact guys, Richie Grant, Trevon Moehrig, Asante Samuel Jr., Tyson Campbell. They went bang, bang, bang. And this just screams that as much as Howie Roseman was prepared for round 1, he was not at all prepared for rounds 2 and 3. Any quick thoughts on that, guys?
I don't know if anybody else saw it. There's a video circulating on Twitter of the Eagles draft room after the Milton Williams pick. And he's, Howie's running around like a freaking kid looking for a good friend, fist bumping everybody. And I don't know who the last guy he gets to is, but he goes to fist bump him, and the guy gives him this half-ass fist bump. And they have to cut away quickly because it's Howie standing there like this. And the guy's not fucking happy. And Howie's like getting pissed off at him because the guy's not happy. I'm telling you, Howie, it's still the same shit. The goddamn analytics department. Watch this guy at the end.
I'm happy about this pick.
Oh my God!
How awkward is that? Like,
Yeah,
you
really
can watch.
awkward.
Just watching it. I'm telling you, like they cut
look
away.
at the vibe. Look at the vibe in the room. Not one person is excited about this pick but Howie Roseman. Period.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke that we're still sitting here doing this with this freaking guy. It's an
that's
absolute
amazing.
joke.
I love that so much. I'm sorry. 'Cause, like, oh my God.
It tells you everything.
That's
you need to know.
embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
What this night could have been was literally Devontae Smith, Trevon Moehrig, and Jabril Cox. Pack it up, box it, wrap it in a bow, and package it. Like that.
It's an A draft.
That is an A+ draft for the Philadelphia Eagles.
But I will say
on it again and again. What are we doing here?
I will say with and we said it a few times in the earlier stream, but Moehrig did have the injury concerns, and there is a reason why a bunch of other teams didn't pick him as well. And I do think there has to be some reason why that Jabril Cox has not been taken off the board yet either. So I think we have to remember that. Hold on. Let me finish. I think we do have to remember that just like the DK Metcalf thing, which obviously sucks that we did not pick him, there's a lot of other teams that are also passing. So I don't think we can sit here and just say that the Eagles are making a bunch of terrible decisions for themselves. I think we also have to say that the NFL in general is not picking the guys that we think that they should be picking.
But there's also different teams have different needs. And
There were
injuries.
three safeties that got took off the board before Travis Moehrig.
And injuries cannot be an excuse for the Eagles when you draft Landon Dickerson, who is a king of having injuries. You can't use that excuse for them.
But it's a difference in position and a difference in injury. If so, to me, and
He's missed 3 or 4 seasons.
Let me explain what I mean by this. So my thought process with the Landon Dickerson is that he was literally, without injury, the first interior offensive lineman that was projected to be taken in this draft. He also is like basically the perfect guy to have behind Kelsey, where when it comes to safety, you have guys that you drafted prior that they still have a lot of confidence in Kayvon Wallace. They still have a lot of confidence in McLeod to be there. Like they have guys at that spot where in the interior line with the age of people, they're like, I feel like that's more of a concern. More of a concern. For
McLeod is older and coming off a torn ACL. How is there not concern about Rodney McLeod? He tore his ACL towards the end of the season. He may not even be ready to begin the season.
Yeah.
So look, I understand what you're saying, but they contradict themselves. They contradict themselves.
You're not wrong.
If they take a guy at that pick in a position that we're questioning, but he's healthy, it's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking a guy who's had a pretty bad injury history, and then the argument that they're going to try and make is they didn't pick a Trayvon Moehrig because he had injury concerns. Like you can't. If you're the Eagles, I understand what you're saying about other teams, but if you're the Eagles, you can't make that argument.
All right.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's throw it to Shane. Shane, walk us off the ledge here.
so I don't think Landon Dickerson is not a bad pick, high talent player. Milton Williams isn't a bad pick. He's got a similar profile to a guy like Aaron Donald. He's a smaller guy that you can move around, elite athleticism. The problem for me is I think Dickerson's a fine valuation at 37. I think Williams is a fine pick at 73. The problem is I don't know how you play football without linebackers and cornerbacks on your roster. And as much as we look at, we're building for the future, and there's truth to that. But how do you evaluate pass rushers when you don't have a secondary? How do you evaluate your run defense when you don't have linebackers? And so I look at Milton Williams when we've got Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. I look at Landon Dickerson when we have Sayamalo, we've got Kelsey, we've got Brooks, we've got Driscoll, and I just question taking those guys while ignoring some bigger needs of guys you could plug in and play this year and start that development process. It's a lot easier to develop as a starter than it is sitting on the bench and playing in practice.
All right. Shane, what was your grade overall over, day one and day two right now?
Overall, I'm going to give him like a B-. I think, Devontae Smith pulls it up. I think, like I said, both of these players are good picks. I think they're fine values. I question the fit with the team, but we're in a rebuilding year. And so to a certain element, you want to take the best player on your board, regardless of if they're going to be a starter week one. And so I'm going to bump it up. I don't hate it as much as you guys do. I am underwhelmed by not walking out of day two with a corner or a linebacker, though.
I think what hurts me the most is, and I've said this ad nauseum, is that day two I thought was the strength of this draft in terms of safety, cornerback, linebacker. There are so many great, fits there for the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe trade up here. Now we've got 4 6-round picks. It seems empty. There's definitely a disappointment here in this day two for the Philadelphia Eagles on my end. I gave Devontae Smith an A+. I gave Landon Dickerson a B. This Milton Williams is like a D, especially with what Baron Browning, Jabril Cox. It just feels like missed opportunities. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, why you're having all these 6th and 7th round picks in a year where everyone who follows the draft for a living has said they have no value this year because of the scouting, because of everything that happened. They have no value this year. So why are you gathering all of these 6th and 7th round picks? Move up. Get guys that can contribute. Get guys like Shane said that you could develop as starters from day one and allow them to play. There is zero reason. This is zero reason to stand pat and take these 6th and 7th rounders and just draft there. Move the hell up into the 4th. And if you're not going to move up to the 3rd, then you got to get your ass into the 4th round tomorrow and try and get a couple of those, mid-round gems that can, contribute right away.
So for everybody upset about Williams, I'd just say, he's 9.96 raw athletic score. That ranks 7th out of 1,300 defensive ends evaluated since 1987. unless a guy is a total bum, that's the type of guy, that's the type of athletic projection that you can take a swing on in the third round. And if it doesn't work out, it's a third round pick that you spend on an athletic freak. But if it does work out, the upside is really big.
And
So
Shanna,
I'm not crazy about it, but I don't hate it as much as you guys do.
Look at Davion Taylor, who couldn't get on the field last year.
Well,
Yeah,
Davion Taylor was a bum. Like, he doesn't know how to play football. This guy, this isn't
No, but
that.
he
That's
was
what
an
I'm saying.
athletic freak. He had tons of athleticism. It's the same story, man.
But Milton Williams knows how to play defensive line. Davion Taylor has no clue how to play football. He's just fast. And so that's the difference for me. Like, this is a guy who has a lot of athleticism, but it's also a guy that's played football. He's been around the game of football. And so he's not a guy you're trying to teach how to play football. What were you going to say, Justin?
No, I think like just from being on the other side of it, and mind you, like I don't know a ton about Milton Williams, so you could be completely correct, but like I think like what other people were saying is like there's just other guys on there that you look at and you're like, okay, this guy could like to me when I see Jabril Cox on the board, I'm like that's a guy you could legit plug in and be a starter on your team right now at a position where you've struggled since you've had Jeremiah Trotter. So like I don't that to me doesn't make much sense. And I understand historically in the past, like probably how many years, like maybe like 10 years, 15 years, the Eagles have not valued the linebacker position. But like I thought there was a chance that would change this year with the difference in defensive coordinator, and that just doesn't seem to be the case. So do you think that they're going to be running a similar system where they're just like, okay, we're going to load up the defensive ends, and then we're going to try to find some really good safety and decent corners like they've been doing, and just load up on offense and the defensive end?
I think what you're seeing is that it doesn't matter who their coaches are, and it doesn't matter who what system their coaches want to run. Howie and Jeffrey Lurie run the ship, and ask the Dallas Cowboys how it works out when your owner is that involved.
100%.
And that's a problem. That is this is no longer about the football team and what happens on the field. There is a major organizational failure taking place that can be beyond damaging to this franchise.
Do we have the video of Howie still? Because I want to. I think. Can we put that back up? Because I do want to. I want to show that again. Like that to me is like key there. Because like, if that really is the problem, like the fact that you're in your own draft room, you're the leader of that draft room, and whoever that guy is, I don't know, who obviously does not like the pick, like. That's probably an expert right there. That's a guy who's either a scout, a guy who's either like he's somebody who's if you're in an NFL draft room, you're there for a reason. Yeah. And there's a reason why that guy is mad about that pick.
And let's be
Tom
clear.
Donahoe, senior football advisor / scout with the Eagles for the last 9 years.
And let's be clear, like Howie freaking Roseman 100% knows that he's on the camera right now trying to rev up this draft selection to make himself look better. And here he is like, what does it look like when it's not on camera?
Chris asked, is this today? Yeah, this is right after the Williams pick.
You can see it on this bottom of the screen. They're showing the Williams pick right there.
That is
as they're announcing it.
That's actually the most damning proof of the Eagles' dysfunction. Yeah, I mean, this includes the Phillies and the Eagles, pretty much top to bottom. So I'm actually, in some ways, this is actually a win. In fact, I'm going to bump my draft grade here because of Howie Roseman getting called out in everything. He's got way too much influence on this team, so I'm going to bump it up from I think I give it a C+. I'm going to give it a B- because Howie Roseman looks like an idiot with that last pick. So, again, any final thoughts on days 1 and 2 here, guys?
I just want to say overall, though, like the first day of the draft to me, which is obviously the most important, is like that to me was key. The fact that we were able to get another first-round pick for next year with how this team's mentality is for this year like I personally think the Eagles had a top 3 draft day in the first day yesterday. So I just hope that the decisions made today last and are good. But by the senior director of scouting / player personnel accounts, it does not look like he's very happy.
My final thoughts are: how would you feel if we took a cornerback at 37 and a linebacker or safety at 70 or 73? Like, that's what I'm saying.
It's an A+ draft.
Like, that's what I'm saying, is that we were so close to doing it, and it just completely fell.
And it's not one of those things where it's like you say, well, the guys weren't there. They were there. They were on the board. They were right there in front of you. And it feels like every year on this second day of this draft, where we come in with these high hopes, we walk out feeling like this. And and look, you got all these 6th and 7th round picks. You better hit in the 4th and 5th round tomorrow. And I mean, I'm talking about it gets less and less likely the later in the draft you go. You need impactful players in the defensive backfield at the linebacker position tomorrow, early tomorrow.
Shane, you're up.
We talked about the need to walk out of the draft with 2 to 3 starters. And from where I'm sitting, the Eagles took one player that's going to start for them this year, and that's disappointing. Mm-hmm. If I remove those expectations, I don't dislike either of the picks. And so to me, I feel like I've got to commit to just realizing 2021 is not the year. The Eagles are not going to be that good of a football team in 2021. And I knew that. But I figured I'm going to talk myself into it by the end of the draft. I'm going to get excited about young guys. And it's not that I'm not excited about those players. I just don't see the year one impact. And so to me, this lowers expectations for 2021. And we'll see what it says about the future.
I think you can still be excited about the offense for next year. I think the offense will be interesting.
Oh yeah, I'll be pumped every game day, and there's a lot of stuff I'm excited to watch this year. And so if you're out there listening right now and you need a pep talk, go to the Painted Lines, and I wrote an article about 6 things you can be excited about for the 2021 season, because there's a lot of young guys, there's a lot of new coaches to evaluate. So it's going to be a fun season for people like me that like to break it down. To the casual fan that just wants to watch the Eagles win football games, though, I feel like the season could be a little bit of a rough one.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because we're changing our mindset and perspective from wins and losses to real player evaluation and player breakdowns, progression, regression, all that kind of stuff. So we are going to be all over it. I'm going to just just end this video here. Make sure you follow my man Rob right up there at Philly_Madness. Follow my man Justin. He is at J_Persichetti, and he is Shane at _TPL. We'll be back tomorrow with our round 3 expectations and just summarize our thoughts on rounds 1, 2, and 3. Thank you, everybody.
Go follow at Mr. Crockpot on Twitter as well, because he doesn't like to plug himself. So go follow him there. Has a great. I think the Stood Up Geeks podcast has a podcast they're doing tomorrow, I believe. So make sure you go watch that as well.
All right, thank you so much. We'll end with our promo here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? MLB baseball is in full swing. The NBA and NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and the NFL season is mere moments away. While we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports, we are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity.